That was another beautiful one. Thank you. Okay. So we're talking today about transforming our lives, becoming a new you. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. How do we do that? We talk about it just about every Sunday, don't we? So I'm going to talk about it a little bit more this morning. We're going to talk about how you can really let go of some of that baggage. It doesn't have to be heavy. You know, sometimes when we'll talk about carrying baggage around, we'll envision someone with a heavy suitcase, or we'll envision someone with a carpet bag. Is that term came from the carpetbaggers after the Civil War, those that were taking advantage of people. But we're not going to think about that this morning. But about that size, carpetbaggers. So when we talk about carrying baggage around, that's usually what we're thinking about. But let me tell you, if you're out on a hike and you have just one brick in your backpack, it's going to get heavy. And I think that's the way it is for a lot of us. We've carried a lot of things for a long time, and we need to set them down and let them go. Don't carry the past with you into the new year. Carry only a renewed mind. How do we do that? We're going to talk about that just a little bit. Sometimes, you know, old patterns are really, really difficult to change. Really difficult to change. And a lot of them, believe it or not, that we're carrying with us now came back from the Middle Ages, from some methods, some thoughts, some beliefs that were carried forward all the way till now. You know, when someone agreed to become either a priest or a sister, they had to take exceptional vows. A vow of poverty, chastity, the obedience. Now, the obedience part was just happened to be very convenient for the church. It suited them well, so they were glad to do that. But for the people that went into the service of the church, and there were many, you know, up until 2 or 3 generations ago, even in our country, that many families, in a large family, that it was the practice that one of them would go into Christian service in the Catholic organization. And I know some sisters, some very modern sisters, that was the case for them. They were the one in their family that became of service. But so one of the things, and I don't want to talk about that because they have changed a whole lot. One of the sisters that I know, they call her the Flying Nun, and she even went to England to do a sabbatical and taught and just had a wonderful time. So their lives are not the way they were back during the Middle Ages, but you know they even beat on themselves. Beat themselves up. We do that a lot, don't we? Some of that we've carried with us. And the old consciousness has been carried forth with us too. That vow of poverty, maybe you took that vow in your family. Maybe you heard a lot about the rich just get richer and the poor get poorer. And you heard a whole lot of negative talk And you still hear that in your head. Maybe you heard a lot about you weren't strong enough, you weren't tall enough, maybe you were too tall, maybe you weren't thin enough, maybe you weren't smart enough, maybe whatever. And you see, the person that was passing that along to you, they really didn't mean to. They didn't know any better. They weren't aware. They had their own wounds from the past, and they were just trying to get along, and they were trying to do the best for their children. They were doing the best they could. So we want to not hold them hostage either. Wherever you got those thoughts, or you were hurt, maybe it was at school, maybe it was an unkind teacher that passed along the thought that you weren't smart enough, you weren't good enough. Maybe you came from a poor family and you had tattered clothing, and you still hurt from that, from the mean things that were said to you. Well, I'm saying, you don't have to take a vow. I'm going to let the train go by. Those vows that those people took when they went to the monastery or into the church service, they had no expiration date. Did you know that? But we don't need to take vows like that. We don't need to take any till death do us part vows. We need to take the past, the painful parts of the past, and put it behind us. We really do. I was going to read a quote that I put into the bulletin. And I've used it before, and I'm afraid I have lost whoever wrote it, but it wasn't me. This came from a stubborn person, and he said, sometimes you have to use stubborn ways to get rid of something stubborn from the past. So he says, changing a behavior is like driving down an old rutted dirt road. In order to get out of the rut and onto a new path, you need to jerk the wheel really hard. If you don't jerk the wheel hard enough, you'll just bounce right back into the same old rutted path. So for change to happen, hold on tight. Jerk the wheel as hard as you can and get ready for a bumpy ride. Change is just beyond, on the other side. So this morning, we certainly don't want any bumpy ride in 2021, and we're not going to have one. We're not planning on that. But what we are planning is that we will begin the new year with a clean slate. Everything we have is already here. Love, clarity, wisdom, order, and abundance. They're all ours. We just have to recognize it and move on. I am open to new ways of being. Can you say that, and can you think that? I ask Spirit, illumine my mind and my thoughts so that I may choose life-affirming, life-enhancing thoughts and become healthy, whole, strong, joyful, peaceful, and loving. So what kind of challenges do you have this year, or have you had? Let them come up. Think about it. If you've had relationship issues, which of those issues do you think you should own? And which do you think that your partner should own? And if it's your partner's, then you can have a loving conversation about that. As a matter of fact, if we just sit back and we're not honest, then we will always have that role of sitting back and allowing life to happen to us. And so one of the things we need to develop is strength and will. We may need to jerk the wheel hard to get out of that rut. Because you know that those ruts, those beliefs, those thoughts, they're in our brain. They've created actual ruts. They actually have. They are there. And to change that, you have to change your beliefs. And when those old thoughts come creeping back in, you must change them. Right then, right there. Confront it. You got to jerk the wheel hard. Confront it. What we want to do is become the Christed self, and that's the person that is at peace of heart and mind. That doesn't mean we don't have challenges. Of course we do. But they're much smaller, and we always have hope, and we know that we'll come through it, and everything is going to be okay. I spoke with Bernie this morning before the service, and we were just joyfully thinking about all the things of Rosa that we loved. Oh my goodness, Rosa. She's right here with us. We know that. We were talking about the things about Rosa that we just absolutely loved. Her honesty, without ever being too frank or ugly or anything, but her honesty. You could always count on her to tell you how she felt, and then you let it go. There were never any hard feelings later. Just absolutely her joy of living, her laughter, her dancing, her singing, all the things about her that we admired so. And we miss that. But you know what? All we have to do to experience that again is to remember her. And she's right there. And it's that way with all our loved ones that have passed on. And that's part of what we're going to move through this year, is that I know there's a great deal of grief and sadness and loss of different types. And we're going to move through that because it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It is okay. We're going to use our imagination to see beyond. And we know that it's okay. So if we release and let go those things that don't serve us, the first thing we have to do is be aware, right? We have to be aware. And if you feel like you're in a crisis or you're in a place, you're in a challenging time right now in whatever area of your life, whatever phase of your life, ask and you will receive. Okay? We teach what Jesus taught here. And just a word to those that don't always attend Unity. We teach what Jesus taught. He said that we are the light. He told us, you are the light. What I do, you can do. If you ever want to really see what Jesus said, just look at the red letters in the Christian scriptures. And even that wasn't written down for a few generations later. But the other parts were added a long time later. And they're what people wanted us to believe. And no fault there. It was just, those were not the words of Jesus, though. But what did he say? He said it over and over again that they remembered and they wrote it down when they did finally write these words down. Ask and you will receive. So if you're in a place you need clarity, you need to know what's going on in your life and you truly don't know, and I've been there too. I know that we have those places sometimes. Ask and you will receive. Ask for awareness, higher perspective. Then there's something else that's truly, truly important, folks, and we know that, and that is you've got to be willing, right? You got to be willing. I've seen a whole lot out there in the last few months where there is not a willingness at all to see a different perspective at all. I would just ask you to please ask yourself, am I really willing? Or am I so determined to be right in every area of my life that I'd rather keep the pain and go on with an unhealthy way of living? Because you know the pain, the thoughts, the emotions, we've been told over and over again, we see medical proof of it, that the emotions cause disease. Fear, anger, worry, anxiety, those cause disease in the body. So pay attention to that. Be willing to release all the old ways, the thoughts, the fears. Open yourself to receive new ways of being. How do you do that? You allow yourself to have faith. Faith. I have faith that God is my instant, constant, abundant supply. I have faith. Wisdom. The wisdom that comes only from the divine, not from our intelligence. That's important. Wisdom and knowing, understanding. God, give me understanding to see beyond what's right in front of me to the truth that is behind it. If we could say that prayer every time something confusing comes up. Ask and you will receive. Use your imagination. I do that a lot. I use my imagination to visualize something that I want, something beautiful and peaceful and calm. So imagine, see yourself the way you want to be by the end of next year, the end of this year, the end of this week. See that. Understanding and knowing. Strength. I want strength. Give me strength, God. Peace of heart and mind. Isn't that what we all want? Peace of heart and mind. And to get that, a lot of times we have to let go of whatever it is, whatever thought is keeping us from it. Love. God is love. We are love. The divine source, God, Jesus, the Christ, is love and determination and commitment. Will you use your commitment? Will you commit to seeing from a higher perspective? Will you commit to having a more joyful life? Then allow only life-giving, life-serving energy to fill you. Become a new you in the new year. And I would just like to share with you one last thought, and that is, more than any other time in my life, more than any other time, even including the awakenings where I've had moments of awakening and seeing the higher truth, and I've had my share. More than any other time this year, this holiday season, these last few weeks. And you might say it has something to do with the what we just experienced on December 21st, the convergence of the planets and the stars. I don't know. It's been the holiest of times for me. The end of this year, 2020, has told me this has been a gift. And the greatest gift that I've received is one that I hope you receive too, and that I have become a Christed one. I have become anointed by the hand of the Most High. I have allowed the light and the love to fill my heart until I am totally filled with the light and the love of the one who came to share with you and me so many years ago. So it's all about love. There's nothing else. I hope and I pray that this holiday season too, that you will release enough and allow the good to come into your life, that you too will become anointed. You will become a Christed one. It's your choice, you see. All you need to do is ask. Have a wonderful week and Happy New Year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Reverend Judy, and thank you, music maker.